Well, ladies and gentlemen, happy holidays to everybody. I do hope that you guys enjoyed whatever holiday you celebrated. And with that, that included one hell of a gift, and that was the Dallas Cowboys defeating the Philadelphia Eagles on Christmas Eve. And listen, rival fans would be celebrating as well if they had won, and I understand that. But I am over that game. We are on to the next one, and we got the Titans upcoming. But we're not talking about that in today's video, as you already can see by the title and the thumbnail. We're talking about Joy Taylor. For those that don't know who Joy Taylor is, she's a part of the show Speak for Yourself on FS1. And with that, she's a part of the cast of LaShawn McCoy, Emmanuel Acho herself, and Dave Hellman. Now, the reason why I'm bringing her to everybody's attention is she has recently been exposed to being a hypocrite. Now, this isn't the first time that she said certain things, and we're going to get into that in today's video. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the hypocrisy of Joy Taylor. Now listen, I understand that everybody is entitled to their opinion. I'm not saying that everybody has to say that the Dallas Cowboys are the greatest team ever. I don't believe that. But I think it's important to understand that when you are in the spotlight, you have a certain level of accountability that you must adhere to. So when you say something on public television, especially when it's broadcasted nationally, I think that there is a level of commitment that you must make to making sure that you're giving your opinion that is backed up with factual evidence and not just saying shit for the sake of saying shit, because unfortunately that is something that is lost in this day and age. And listen, I want to make it super clear. Joy Taylor is not the only person in media doing these types of things. We're well aware of that. However, I believe that she is now in the crosshairs for her recent comments and her being exposed as a hypocrite, which I'm going to show you a clip, and then we're going to discuss what exactly she said that made her look like a hypocrite.
So what I saw from the Eagles last night was a win that should have very easily answered this question. Yes, the Bills were amazing yesterday, but the question with the Eagles was, are they going to be able to beat a good team? Cooper Rush, could he replace Dak Prescott? Well, we saw what happened with the Eagles defense yesterday. When things start to go off script, what happens with them? You kind of got your answer there. So to me, this was the win that should have put the Eagles at the top of the league without question, and to me it did.
It put that.
And they still barely beat them with a backup quarterback who was responsible for 3 of those turnovers. What are we talking about here? Is this the Dallas Cowboys? You expect me to
we were
believe that
making
this
some
is
real
a different Dallas Cowboys based off of that performance? Was Dak good enough to beat the Eagles with a backup quarterback? Yes. They should be able to beat Gardner Minshew. It's Gardner Minshew.
Joy Taylor.
Gardner Minshew.
Joy Taylor.
Guys, stop. I understand he looks awesome with the headband. I like Gardner, but he's a backup quarterback.
Now listen, I think it's absolutely hilarious that she is now being caught in the act for saying one thing that happened against the Cowboys and Eagles in Philadelphia, and then what happened on Christmas Eve. Now listen, I understand that a lot has changed, and everybody's entitled, as the season goes on, to morph your opinion. But I'm all about keeping the same energy, specifically with the same scenario. So, in the first game between the Cowboys and Eagles, Cooper Rush is the starting quarterback. Tyron Smith is not playing. Dalton Schultz is not playing, right? And with that, the reason why I bring that up is because you look at what happened in that game. The Cowboys were down 20-0. They clawed back to make it a 3-point game, and then they barely lose at the end because their defense can't get one stop, right? And again, props to the Eagles for winning that game. Does that win necessarily cemented them as the best team in the NFL? No, but they were undefeated at the time, so of course they had a legitimate argument for that. But I think it's funny how you're willing to give Philadelphia the credit for being the best team and showing they did that on a Sunday Night Football game where those were the circumstances for the Cowboys against the Eagles team that was fully healthy. Then, when you throw in the Eagles, okay, so let's look at it this way. The Eagles had Gardner Minshew, who in my opinion is much better than Cooper Rush. And I'm not just saying that shit. I have said that. I've been on the record and I've talked about that, right? Because I actually like Gardner Minshew, right? So they had Gardner Minshew as their backup quarterback. Lane Johnson went out with an injury. And realistically, and I could be wrong, if Eagles fans, if you want to correct me, because I'm not entirely sure about your whole team, but you lost Maddox through the game, but more or less you had your entire defense intact, your offensive line was intact, and now the Cowboys have Dak back, they have Dalton Schultz, they have Tyron Smith, and they hang 40 points on this Eagles team that's never given up that kind of point total, and they never gave up a 300-yard passer. But apparently, but the Eagles had 4 turnovers. Okay, well, the Cowboys had 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions more specifically, right? In their first game with Philadelphia. But that shows how dominant they are. But when the Cowboys do it, it's a problem. So the Eagles had the turnover differential not in their favor by 3, right? The Cowboys had a +3 turnover differential. And you're not willing to give the Dallas Cowboys the same credit. This actually happened again because she was willing to talk about how the Eagles gutted out that tough win versus the Indianapolis Colts. And say, this is the things that... And right, good teams will find ways to win games when they're having a bad moment. I do give you that energy, right? I got you there. But why is it that when the Cowboys go out not even 2 weeks later and blow the fuck out of that Colts team, even though it was close, I won't lie, but they blow the fuck out of them with 33 points in the fourth quarter, and you mean to tell me that, the Colts suck? Well, what the fuck is it? And then, I believe during the Texans, I couldn't find the clip, I think she also mentioned something about how the Cowboys struggle. I don't want to hear that shit. Listen, I'm a firm believer in being consistent. If you're wrong, you're wrong, and, I can only speak for myself here. I can't speak for others. Whenever I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong, right? Like, I've already talked about, listen, I thought the Cowboys season was over because we've seen in history's past that once they lose the starting quarterback, it's over. But they proved me wrong, and I was like, we'll see what happens. Now, they still have to prove me wrong moving forward, right? Because this regular season doesn't matter at this point, right? You got to see what you can do in the postseason. Who knows? They could prove me wrong there. But going back to my original point, Joy Taylor has shown that the media does not care about giving you factual evidence. It's all about clicks, and everybody knows that, and I am pretty much well aware of that. But I wanted to bring this to light because LaShawn McCoy was quiet. He was like, Dak did good for this game. We'll see. I'm like, okay, fair, But again, I think it's ridiculous he called him ass, which, Shady McCoy can go fuck himself. But Joy Taylor just goes off her rocker and starts talking like, what? And I actually liked Joy Taylor, and it's because I felt like when she was starting off with the Herd, with Colin Cowherd, she had really thought out opinions for what she was saying. And I give her credit there. Now, was she perfect all the time? Absolutely not, in my opinion, again. But she was willing to talk about things, and she was willing to provide context. Now, David Hellman is the only goddamn dude on that fucking panel that's willing to give any context. He's the only one keeping that show legitimately somewhat watchable, but only in spare clips. So I want to make this super clear. Digesting this content is bad for you. That type of shit that you see on national television should not be consumable for any audience. And it's annoying how people will listen in and listen to her opinion and be like, oh, you know what? Joy's right. Even though what she said makes no sense. And I'm glad that people are They're basically exposing the media, and people are not just taking this shit. So again, you'll have people that bite on it and be like, oh, this, that, and the third. Listen, all I'm going to say is, if you firmly believe one thing, but you're not like, if you were willing to give the Eagles credit, you must give the Cowboys credit, right? I felt, hey, you know what? The Cowboys, when they went to Philadelphia and they nearly won that game, they gave the Eagles a tough game. But you know what? The Eagles won because they took care of business. And that's fair. And I understand the circumstances that the Cowboys were in, right? I'm going to say the same thing about Philadelphia, right? Like, Philadelphia, they did not have their starting quarterback. They were still able to do certain things. But again, Dallas won. They did what they had to do to win the game. Philly turned the ball over late. And that's just the end of that, guys. Like, there's nothing else to it. And I'm sick and tired of people giving her credit for saying what she said. And I'm glad people are calling her out. Now, listen, this is a long season. And I personally believe if you really want to prove these people wrong, Dallas, I think you should go to the playoffs and really make a statement. Go face Tom Brady and win. Do I think they will? Man, I don't know. Nothing's guaranteed. But I think making a statement like that would really, really, really send a message. That's just my personal opinion. And listen, guys, that's pretty much it. I don't really have much more to say. What do you guys have to say in the comment section below? I do hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. And again, we have the Cowboys on an early week, so we should have a pregame up soon. But with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, guys? Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.